It didn't take long for New York to start throwing mud as soon as JV leaves. A Met told the Post Mike Puma that Verlander was a diva who was detached from his Mets teammates and complained about how the team's analytic department was not at the level as the one he worked with during his stint with the Astros. I can't say I'm surprised to hear that feedback, but what do we think about this, guys? Is it airing dirty laundry after a guy gets traded away? Sure seems like a bad look from a franchise of poor looks.
Well, it's dreamy New York tabloid material with which to work, and covering actual current Mets games. Ugh, who wants a part of that? Scherzer and Verlander were not bosom buddies by any account, going back to their days with the Tigers. So whether older, more mature, or with the mutual interest of making $43.33 million per year, and oh, by the way, ideally getting back deep into the playoffs while both pitching for the Mets, that was a professional marriage of convenience rather than, boy, it'd be great if we could come and pitch together for the same team later in our careers. So if Scherzer said that stuff, I guess if he's being honest, he's being honest. If he was asked about it, I don't really see what he has to gain from it. To a certain extent, aren't they all divas? And at the highest levels, right, the rules aren't the same for superstars as they are for run-of-the-mill guys. And when you accomplish things and you have tenure, there are guys who get double locker space in the clubhouse. Hey, I want to meet some family. Can I catch up with the rest of the ball club tomorrow since I'm not pitching until Friday? Sure. A rookie pitcher, get on the damn plane. So I'm going to go with much ado about not much on this, and all that matters about Justin Verlander for the rest of 2023 is how he pitches for the Astros.
I mean, I think it's fun now that Scherzer's with the Rangers, Verlander's with the Astros. They're going to face each other at some point, I have to imagine. That's going to be must-see TV for me.
And we should waive the designated hitter for that game so they each have to step into the batter's box against one another.
I like it. But it's funny, though. We talk about divas. Scherzer was the first one to meet with ownership, and the Mets ownership said, yeah, we're probably going a different direction. We're not going all in for this year. And he's the one that demanded a trade first. Verlander was the second one. So who knows if Verlander would have even left, if Scherzer wouldn't have been the one to initiate that and get the ball rolling. But yeah, I just, too many cooks in the kitchen, a couple alpha pitchers on the same team. They're getting paid the exact same amount of money. I'm not surprised that, he's a little prickly with them. It makes sense, but I don't know. I'm excited about it. The Verlander stuff, we heard about Correa or whoever it was reportedly that didn't want Verlander throwing out the first pitch. If there's any truth to that, maybe Verlander does rub some people the wrong way. I don't know. It seems like a fine, good pitcher to me. It doesn't bother me none. But the Mets part is the best about how the analytics department not being as good with the Mets. Of course, Verlander's going to notice that. He's been with the Astros for so long, had so much success with Maldi catching for him. Whatever we want to say about Maldi, Verlander thinks there's something to it with him helping call the pitches. So I'm not surprised. You get a little bit spoiled when you're with the Astros and then you go to other teams and see I see why these guys haven't had any success. But I think it's a fun story, and I'm glad we're making a video about it. I want to see these guys face off later this season, see if maybe there's something to it.
Roger Clemens' last season with the Astros, there were road trips that he'd skip. I'm going to stay back and play golf. But when he took the ball every fifth day or every sixth day and he pitched phenomenally, so it's just a sliding scale on this stuff. And where the Mets are concerned, it's about success and failure. And they're one of the most abysmal in-season flop failures we've ever seen, right? When you're winning, what's that sense? Is that poop? I'm getting a little whiff of lavender there. No, when you're terrible, it's poop and it's disgusting. And for all of New York, the Mets and Yankees closing hard, it's been one big, disgusting debacle of a baseball season. I can't wait till Aaron Rodgers underachieves with the Jets.
It's funny you mentioned the Clemens example, because that was exactly the one I was going to go to, which was Clemens. Yes, the mind meld, but Clemens didn't pitch, or he didn't travel on the road if he wasn't scheduled to pitch when he played for Houston. And no one had a big deal with that. They just understood that's Roger Clemens. We're lucky to have him on the team. He's, on a discount. I think part of it, though, is the Astros bad guy narrative. It's like, okay, Verlander's back on them. He's gone away from New York. He's back on the bad guys again. So now we can paint him. New York doesn't have any feelings about the Rangers. So who cares, about Scherzer, but paint Verlander with a bad color on the way out, on the way back to Houston. Also interesting, Ryan Clifford, Drew Gilbert both get upgraded in the top 100 list as soon as they're traded away from Houston. So this narrative about, the Mets didn't get, neither guy were in the top 100. All of a sudden, both of them magically are in the top 100 once they've been traded to the Mets. So I just think part of it is the media narrative. Charlie, you touched on it. It's no fun talking about the results of the Mets games. So maybe getting some tabloid drama stirred up is the better way to do it. In a industry that is driven by clicks and engagement, I guess I can't blame them on that.
And to take it back down to Houston, I don't think this is a diva-esque component. And whether Justin Verlander was asked for input or offered input, right? The Astros rejiggering the rotation some this week, so Verlander gets to make a start on 4 days rest against the Marlins. Now, if that's the plan the rest of the way, I think it's a bad plan to build it around Verlander going on 4 days rest. He's 40 years old, right? He missed the first month of this season injured. He was brilliant last season on 4 days rest in 5 starts. He was more brilliant on 6 days or more rest over 7 starts. More often than not, he pitched on 5 days rest. Verlander, after the All-Star break, made 1 start on 4 days rest. That's when he popped the calf and went to the injured list. The Astros need to be very mindful. We're all creatures of habit to some extent, and certainly Verlander with his routine, and he's meticulous, and he's been so brilliant. But you can also think, even though you're starting to run into some injury problems, end of the day, I'm Justin Verlander. I am invincible. I'm pitching well every 5th day. That's how I roll. Well, it's the job of management sometimes to tap even Justin Verlander on the shoulder and say, let's slow that roll a little bit. And an extra day here, an extra day there. It worked pretty well for you overall in compiling that 1.75 earned run average.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's interesting that Fromber is going to be pitching on normal rest here with Javier. That they've skipped Hunter Brown. Fromber and Javier have not been good in their last 7 starts. If anybody looks like they could use a little bit of rest, I think it'd be one of those guys. But yeah, Verlander has been good and is limited, pitching starts in the last couple of years on 4 days rest. But Charlie's right. He's an older pitcher. You can't let him make these calls. There's a reason there's managers and there's players. And sometimes you got to save a guy from himself. But I think it's pretty smart. The JP France thing worked. He helped you out in that piggyback appearance last week, and then he was brilliant again yesterday. Hunter Brown, they're just trying to take some innings off of Hunter Brown and JP France, which I think is the wise thing to do.
It is, and we didn't even talk about it. We're coming to the end of the show, and we didn't even talk about it. But tip of the cap. If I was wearing one, Josh, you're wearing one. You have to tip it for me to JP France, because dude's just been. You talk about found money, Charlie. For them to again, you lose. Garcia for the year. And we talk about that balancing act where it seems like when one guy goes down, you've got somebody ready to step up. JP France, as unheralded as it gets in the system, and then just steps up and looks to be a true bona fide major league starter. So I don't know where they would be this season without him, especially with Urquidy going down and missing so much time, we haven't mentioned him. Urquidy looked better in his latest start. So hopefully that continues for them. And hopefully JP France continues to be just stellar, because dude has been a complete godsend for that team. And that's going to do it.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Another episode's in the books. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast. Charlie, Josh, and I will catch you again next week, but you don't have to wait that long, because John Granado, Josh, Lance Zerline, they've got you covered on the Sports Map Houston channel. All you got to do is just subscribe to that channel and catch all of the news and videos that we got going on throughout the week. And then remember, if you're driving around your car, looking for something to listen to on your radio dial, it's ESPN 97.5, 92.5. They've got you covered in Houston. At least I waited this long to mess up. Thanks to Jack Brame for producing, and thanks to everyone for listening as always. And until next time, guys, go Stros.